But yeah, man. Well, we're the verdict, and we just got done with episode 3 of the Skeleton Crew, right?
Yep.
And I'm Kyle.
I'm Cameron.
Cameron, what'd you think of it, man?
It was
Episode
good.
3.
It was really good. Like, I was excited after watching episodes 1 and 2, but going into episode 3 especially, like, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good series.
Oh yeah,
Um,
right. Like it goes back to what we are saying, like the last review we did on episodes 1 and 2. It's just a breath of fresh air, right? It was just a good episode, and in my opinion, I think this was better than the first 2 episodes. Like this was a
yeah.
much better episode. Not much better, like as if the other 2 are bad. And it was easily for Jude Law. Jude Law was such a great actor, and he delivered his lines perfectly in this episode. By far my favorite of the 3.
Yeah. Jude Law, I mean, I said it last time, but he's a phenomenal actor. But I think it takes a real skill to be a good actor with kids. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job with that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that's I saw it. What was it? There was some documentary. I think it was The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, like the first Chronicles of Narnia one in 2005 ish is when it came out. I remember I was listening to that one, like the how difficult it can be work for kids and how important it is to get really good professional kids. And that's from that movie. The director was very impressed with that. And I'm very
Yeah.
curious, like in this case too, like having to work with kids in a professional setting. It's got to be really difficult, but it seems like it's just coming off chemistry wise was phenomenal. I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. He plays the role perfectly of like a somewhat mentor, but not really. Yeah. But he's just great. I just really liked uh, the whole vibe of the episode overall.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's go with what was things you like loved about the show? Like, what was like? I don't know. What was your impressions of it? Like, do you give it a 10 out of 10? Is it the best show ever? Is it a 5 out of 10? Like, what are you ranking it, and why are you ranking it that?
Yeah. Are we comparing with other Star Wars or just all like
So
shows
I
in
say
general?
compare with other Star Wars, and it's the reason why I
All
say
other
that is
Star.
because it like if I'm going to go recommend like The Mandalorian to someone, it
Yeah.
matters who recommending that to, right? And also,
Yeah.
if I'm going to say like The Mandalorian's a 10 out of 10, well, I think there's better shows than Mandalorian. In fact, even like close shows to it, like I actually think Daredevil is like one of the best shows out ever. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think when you're doing all these like reviews on different stuff, you got to keep it in the barrier of, or the confines of we're talking about Star Wars TV shows. And so, like, where does this
Yeah.
rank for you with Star
Yeah.
Wars TV shows?
I guess in the rank of among other Star Wars shows, I'd put it at an 8 or an 8.5. I think it's really high up there. It's really quality. It feels like they did a really good job. Um, and I have a theory about it, but first off, I want to see how you would rank it.
Oh yeah, I'm same way. So I gave 8.5. I think to episodes
Yeah.
1 and 2. I got to go a 9. It was better for me.
Yeah.
It was more exciting. It was better. I thought even the dialogue was better, and it just all revolves around Jude Law. How great Jude Law was in
Yeah.
this episode, and how he delivered. Just man, it was phenomenal. And not to mention just how much more interesting it got. Like the plot twists and like it's like the plot's developing over time. I loved it. I loved the episode. I thought it was a good length too. Wasn't too long. Wasn't too short. I think what we were at the runtime was 30
Yeah.
minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
It was around that.
yeah,
But
yeah, 9 out of 10 for me for this episode.
yeah. Yeah. It was really good. My theory, I mean, this is more about the show in general, but I have this theory that, you have these shows that kind of come out of nowhere and it's not really hyped. All of a sudden, it's just like released. And I feel like, sometimes they're like these the B series, not really the main series they're trying to push. And I feel like you just get really good quality directors with a lot of these. If there's not a lot of hype around it, there's not a lot of pressure. They're just kind of doing a passion project. And I feel like that really shows with this. With
Yeah,
Skeleton
do you
Crew.
know who the showrunner is on this?
No.
Oh crap, I have it in my other notes here.
Yeah.
It's the guy who did the Spider-Man movies. It's the same guy. I think it's Josh Watts is his name. I'm going to look it up now.
Which
But it's
Spider-Man?
the like
There's been
Far
a
From
lot of
Home and
them.
all that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I
Let me
feel
look
like
it up.
kind of what I was saying, with
John
Andor,
Watts, yeah, is his name.
John Watts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with Andor, like, I feel like it wasn't really hyped. Nobody was really expecting it, and it just released, and it just feels like the whole production was just from a crew that really cared about what they were doing. And I still need to finish that, but I feel like it really shows.
Yeah, well, okay, here's my thing with Andor, all right? It is actually boring. So that doesn't help it, right? At the beginning. It is actually kind of boring, right? Because you're talking about Star Wars, you're talking about lightsaber battles, you're talking about stormtroopers, space, all that stuff. It is a political thriller. And so the first few episodes, it's all set up and it delivers really well. And you can also tell it's a little bit of a pacing issue. If you look up the episodes, there's a different writer for Andor at the beginning part, which I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll spoil this a little bit where they go to a jail. And from that moment, when you're at the jail, it's the best part of the show, and it was written by a different writer. And that is, I think, what was the problem with Andor was you're talking about a prequel, which is the original Star Wars. So there was already people who didn't like Rogue One. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, so that's why I was all about Andor. But then Andor is a prequel to that. It's just so weird. You're doing a prequel of the Star Wars original trilogy it's basically just to explain a plot hole that they wanted to say it's not a plot hole with destroying the Death Star, and that's why they made Rogue One. And then they do a prequel to it of just like how did this, the rebellion all get up to this point? And it's not. I guess it just isn't necessary as what like the fans were wanting to know or anything like that. But for me, because it was Andor of like from Rogue One, I was in and I liked it a lot, and I rank Andor still higher than this TV show, but it's apples and oranges. This show of Skeleton Crew, it's a completely different feel, right? It's an adventure. You're a kid, you're going out into space, and it's just exciting. And it's like I said, it's the Goonies. It's you're having that Stranger Things vibe of just like the '80s again. And man, we got to talk about one more time the thing that failed for me. The moment the opening scene, there's a cul-de-sac.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that because I actually paused it and I was like looking at the scene. I'm like, what about this drives me crazy?
Yeah.
And again, it's just like, it looks like an American cul-de-sac, like sometime in the last 10 years.
It looks like where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like somewhere I grew up. I went to a friend's house one time. It looks like I've been there before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nice houses, fresh cut lawns, streets that look exactly the same. I mean, it's like a black road and normal like cement sidewalks. It's like exactly the same. But fortunately, it was just a quick scene, so I got over it. But yeah, it drives me crazy.
No, it's I want to know what's your thoughts of the character of Jude Law, which remind me of his name. What's his name?
Yeah, his name is Jode Nanawood, but I wrote it down. He, as the captain, he went by Silvo, and then the owl character Kim calls him Crimson Jack.
Yeah,
but, the kids call him Jode.
That's how he introduced himself to the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, really interesting right there. He's like the Joker. He's got like 3 names, right? You're not sure like who he is, type thing.
Yeah. Well, what was your question? What do I feel about him?
Yeah, like what's like? Give me like your like. I want to hear theories of like who is he? Good guy, bad guy?
Yeah.
What's his story to you right so far? Is all we know is for 3 episodes.
Yeah. So the kids keep calling him a Jedi, or at least Wim does, because he can use the Force. And I definitely called this from last week. I'm like, okay, I don't really think he's a Jedi. He just knows the Force. And my theory was he wasn't a Jedi or a Sith. He's just some guy who can use the Force and maybe learned a couple things, but never was like trained properly. And I guess we'll find out more. But at the end of the episode, the kids confront him about being a Jedi, and he said, "I never said I was one."
Right.
Like, okay, you were lying. But my theory, I don't really think that means he's a Sith by any means. But I mean, I guess we'll find out more. I don't know. Do you think he's a Sith?
No, I didn't before, last time. I thought that was my theory before in episode 1 and 2, which is all I had was the opening scene of episode 1 and then the ending of episode 2. But the fact here's my take on it. This is why I like the episode so much. He's a really interesting character because when he's starting, like the kids are trying to like trust him, they are like arguing and remembering the ship, and then they say, "Is not, is so, is not," and then like Neil goes, "He floated stuff." I was like, "This is just great writing. This is how kids interact and yell at each other." Like it
Yeah.
was such good writing, and so you are curious. There's a mystery to the episode of, is Jude Law's character good or bad? We know without a doubt, and I'm so glad they didn't try to make this a mystery like they did with the Acolyte. Of like, if you watch the Acolyte, you're trying to guess who one of the main villain is. From day one, you know, like episode one, you know who the villain is, and they still do like this slow reveal as if we didn't know who it was, and it bothered me so much. It was like an insult to our intelligence of like, we all know who this is. But in this episode of Skeleton Crew, immediately they show us, no, it is that captain, because you know he's got to go back and get the robot, you know, and then someone approaches him from his ship, and it's from his crew, and it's like, okay, I'm so glad we didn't like go 7 episodes or something like that trying to pretend this is a mystery. We all knew it was the guy from the opening scene who went to go
Yeah.
raid a ship, and there was only one coin in the safe and everything like that. So I love the mystery, and I think they're doing a really good job of us guessing who he is. And because so here's my thing: when they confronted him, and he was like, he had to give an answer to get on the ship, because they stopped him, said, "You were lying. You got to tell us the truth right now." And then there was a like the X wings were flying over. He says,
Yeah.
"Okay, here's this. I'm like you. Okay, I'm lost. Right? That's the thing. I'm lost." I believe him. I actually think that's who he is. I think that he's just a guy trying to get by the best he can. I don't think he's a Jedi. I don't think he's a Sith. I think he somehow picked up some tricks with the Force just to survive along the way. And I think it's a really interesting character, and I'm loving it so far. And I'm excited to find out like his whole story at the end of season 1 if they reveal his whole story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Basically everything you said, I really agree with. I really feel like he's this morally ambiguous character. Like he's done bad things. Like he was the leader of the pirate crew, or at
Yeah,
least, I mean, I guess it didn't show his face in that scene, but we can assume it's him in the opening scene of episode one. But I feel like he's kind of, I mean, kind of like Han Solo in a way, where it's like he's, you know, he's got a little bit of a dark side, but he's got a heart of gold. He wants to do good things. Like, I mean, I guess we'll see as time goes on, but I feel like he's really going to come around and like learn to care for the kids and want the best for them. And sure, he still wants his own stuff. Like he wants to get to Aden, but I feel like he's going to really come through for the kids in big and meaningful ways.
which he kind of already has, and this is why I don't think he's Sith. Is he
Yeah.
gets on the ship with the kids? He's got a ship, and the kids say, "Hey, we need the robot," and he's
Yeah.
like, "All right," like he didn't want to, but he does. If he's a Sith, he kills the kids, he gets his ship, he gets what he wants, and gets out of there, right? Or
Yeah. But
furthermore, like he explained, he could have easily stolen the ship anytime he wanted if he's like a really strong Sith or anything like that. And I
yeah.
think this guy is a morally complicated character. And did you ever watch the animated series of Star Wars?
A little bit of it. It's long. I haven't gotten through all of it, but
Right.
yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know if I'm like, I don't know what it is. I always forget terms when I'm on this podcast with you right now. But hold on one second. Doing this review here, there's a pirate guy who is the same thing. It's like morally, like he's a pirate. He steals things, but then he still has like everyone's back at times, or and then he sometimes betrays them. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna find it. Like it's gonna take me too long to try to.
Oh,
I'll
no
think of his name
problem.
in a second. But yeah, like I think this character Jude Law similar, but more on the good side. I think he's good in the end. Like I think he's a good
Yeah.
guy. I think he's had to make some tough choices. I also don't think he has any moral code he's trying to like the Jedi. But he also knew
Yes.
about the Jedi because remember the girl said something to him and he was like quick to react saying that's not the Jedi code, but then he calmed himself down and says the Jedi don't say that, you know, that type of thing. And so
Yeah. That
he
was
knows
interesting.
stuff about Jedi. And so anyways, I'm excited. I think he's an interesting character and
Yeah.
he brought a lot to this episode.
So I kind of disagree with you a little bit in what you were saying about how he could have just left the robot or like stolen the ship from the kids. I think
Okay.
at this point he still needs the kids because he doesn't know where
Add
Adam
in is
is.
where you're saying, okay, you're right. That's true.
Yeah.
Needs that add
And
in.
you know,
Okay.
he could have like kidnapped one of them and taken them, but I mean, so that kind of does show
A little
like, he does
smoother,
have.
but it's a good theory though. Yeah, like maybe he just needs a smoother interaction with everything to go down. Is best not to kill any kids and make
Yeah.
himself up. That's a good point.
I think at this point he wants the kids' cooperation, and so he's trying to build trust to get what he wants. But I feel at the same time, I don't I, I don't feel like he's the kind of guy to be like, okay, I'm just gonna like kill kids to get all this wealth and money. Um, but yeah, so that's where I disagree. I still think he's like using the kids in a way, but I feel like he does have a good heart.
Well, he
So
does say to the kids, "How about we make a deal? And like, I get you home, and I get to make a little money on the side." Like he's
yeah,
I guess he's
he was
upfront
honest
about
about
that.
it. Yeah,
Or we don't even know if that's honesty or not, but at least he's not like he's saying something that is showing something that isn't just like, oh, I'm a like I'm just this good guy trying to help kids out. Like he's showing a side of like I get something out of this too.
yeah, that's a
Um
good point.
anyways, like again, just great mystery there. But even more so was the dialogue, was the interaction with the kids. He was so good at it. He was so good
Yeah,
of like reacting back and forth with them. Like I just thought he was just such a phenomenal actor in this aspect, and the writing with it too. It works really well with Jude Law. It works really well with the kids, and like the little things I wrote down here were just so great. Is where he says things like, "That's a very well made fuel line." Like he's trying to escape, like just
yeah,
that, just delivery pitch, everything. It's so good. Like the writing, I'm laughing, I'm having a good time. It's not taking itself incredibly serious, but it's not like over the top dumb either, right? It's not like a slapstick of like, oh look at us, like and like you saw Obi-Wan, right? You saw
some of it.
the
Yeah,
Kenobi
I
series.
couldn't finish it.
I don't know if you saw the scene, but Princess Leia as a little kid is like outrunning these bad
Yeah,
guys.
yep,
It's just like, come on. And then their best plan escaping is she goes under the trench coat of Obi-Wan, and it's like that's how they're gonna hide a kid walking out of an Imperial base. It's like it's just weird, right? And it's just like this is dumb.
it
And
felt
then
sloppy.
it was sloppy, yeah, exactly. And then some of the reaction I saw online was, "Well, it's for kids. It's not for you." I'm like, maybe, but you still don't have to be like you just said sloppy about it or dumb. Like I'm supposed to watch a 10-year-old run away from the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's just like
Yeah,
it's the
you can't pick
weirdest
your
thing
child.
to see it. But in this show, it's for kids definitely, but I think it's also for adults who like again, as we keep talking about, of that bringing you back to the 80s nostalgia TV shows type of thing.
Yes.
And the writing is good. I'm laughing at the interactions. Like when like one of the scenes was so funny. She's like, I'm not gonna fall asleep. I'm not gonna fall asleep. And then or she says, but I'm not even tired. And like the next shot is just you see her dead asleep. And it's just like, yeah, like that is hilarious. Like these are like funny like quibits that kids can laugh to and adults can enjoy as well. And it's just not dumb like Obi-Wan was to me. Like there was great things about Obi-Wan, like lightsaber battle. So like they have like very good Star Wars in it, but it
Yeah.
was just the writing was awful. Like it was so bad. And this is what it was like,
Yeah.
just a breath of fresh air for me. The writing was just phenomenal. That's why I love this episode. It was so good.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot. I mean, Jude Law's got really good chemistry with the kids,
Yep.
and I think that makes all the difference. I was reading about. Have you seen Home Alone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's like the Wet Bandits. I can't remember his name. The shorter one. I was reading
Is
once
it Lloyd?
that.
I can't remember. Yeah, Lloyd. I'm at the top. Yeah, I think it's Lloyd, right? I can't remember.
Well, I can't remember the actor's name, and I know
Oh, I
exactly.
don't remember the actor's name. No. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in all like the mafia movies and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But so I was reading that he tried to make the kids afraid of him even when they weren't doing scenes, and that really helped with like when they are doing scenes, the kids would still be afraid of him, and so he was kind of like acting on camera and off camera with the kids, and I think that made like a huge difference with the chemistry between them. And I feel like Jude Law obviously is not making the kids afraid, but I feel like he can carry that like similar energy, that similar chemistry, and that's just really what's making the show.
Yeah,
If
like
he
you're
can't interact
referring to
with the
method
kids,
acting, like
yeah,
he's acting outside of when the cameras aren't rolling, type of thing. So perhaps maybe Jude Law is doing something similar to make the kids just acting right. Because in my opinion, and I think maybe this is where you're going with the chemistry of episode one, it didn't fully land for me. I didn't
yeah,
love the interaction between the kids. There were some things that I loved the writing of it, like we're talking about this claimsies or samesies, whatever they said, and like I
yeah,
thought like, oh yeah, we said stuff like that as a kid, but I didn't feel like the chemistry was great. I really didn't actually. I think it was okay. I think when Jude Law comes in the onto camera now, it's the chemistry is much better. The interaction with them. My favorite interaction of all time in the episode was he's trying to explain to the captain girl. What's her name? What's the captain's name?
Fern.
Fern. Yeah, he's trying to explain to Fern how a turret works, and she gets all like mad, like I'm the captain, and like trying to establish authority. And then when he gets to Wim, no explanation needed. He just gets this big smile on his face and goes jumps in. He's like, "I'm gonna go get in a turret and start shooting bad guys." Like that was perfect. I love it. It's my favorite part of the whole episode was that just all he does is look at Jude Law and he gets this big smile on his face and just goes. And I was like, "That's awesome."
That was fun. That was fun that they put them in the turrets.
Yeah.
I actually have something interesting about that scene is like Jude Law put these kids in the turrets and was basically like, shoot these X-Wings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's a kid show. These kids aren't going to like kill an X-Wing pilot, but I'm just thinking like, they could like
Yeah.
they could just like shoot the X-Wing and just kill this guy, and now like a 10-year-old kid has blood on his hands.
Yep.
I just thought that was funny, but because of the nature of the show, I'm like, that's not going to happen,
Right.
and it didn't.
I
Obviously,
actually had the same feeling today. So, as you know, I'm doing a video essay on the comparison of Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone, and the movie, so
yep.
book to movie adaptation. So I reread the book and I just finished it today. And the book I totally forgot is Harry kills a guy, like he kills Quirrell, like just completely kills him. I'm like they don't address that ever throughout the series that Harry Potter killed a man when he's 11. Like that would haunt me. And I was like, and I was trying to remember as I was reading, I was like, okay, do they like make it so it's a little easy? Like, is he knocked out so he doesn't really see? No, he hears the excruciating pain of Quirrell as he's dying. It's like he's 11. Like, it's just gonna like last his whole life. He's gonna be scarred. So, yeah,
Well,
they did not address that at all. But
yeah, that brings up a good point of why couldn't he see the Thestrals?
yeah, there is a point. He doesn't
Quirrell
fully
die.
see him. So in the movie,
passed
it
out.
shows him crumble. Right,
Yeah.
the Quirrell crumbles to death.
Yeah, that was weird. He like turned to stone.
Right. In the books, he does pass out before that happens. So I guess you can slightly justify he didn't
fills
really
the
see
plot
him
hole.
die. But it was like it wasn't nice. Like it wasn't a pleasant experience. The guy's like yelling in pain, and then Dumbledore explains that yeah, he died when he was in the hospital wing. And it's just like, yeah, Harry, you're 11. You killed someone, man. So it's just like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he died. Go back
Yeah.
to the Dursleys now.
But you're right. In this show, no one's gonna die as far as like a kid. Like I got him, and like he just killed
Yeah.
a pilot type thing. No, like that's not what the spirit of the show is. They're not gonna do it. And but
Yeah.
it is an interesting aspect where Jude Law just puts up these kids and be like, hey, go kill a man, right? So we can get out of here.
Okay, I do have a question for you. So today on this episode, we learned that Jode, they also call him Crimson Jack.
Mhm.
What do you think that means?
Crimson Jack sounds like a pirate name.
Yeah.
Um,
Why is it always Jack? Jack's always the pirate
Jack
name.
all right, well, let's do this. Tell
So
me
his
all the names
captain
again.
name is
You wrote it.
Silvo.
What's
His
all the
name's
names?
Jode.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Say it one more time.
His name's Jode. The all his crewmates or his former crewmates call him Silvo. And then this owl character, Kim, called him Crimson Jack. And it seemed like the X-Wing pilots, it seemed like they were familiar with his name.
Yeah, they you're right. Like, because that's why they were interacting on the radio, just saying, "Hey, do you have him? Like, is he still there?" Or I forgot what they said on the radio, but yeah, it definitely gave the impression that he was still around. Crimson Jack sounds kind of bloody to me, though, right? Like, it sounds like someone to be afraid of. I don't know if you could talk about like that sounds like you're basically saying bloody, like the Bloody Baron, another Harry Potter
The
reference. But
bloody bear.
yeah, like you're saying, you're giving like because that wasn't like the Baron. That was kind of parody-ish, but yeah, Crimson or Bloody. Like you're trying to give a cool death name, and so
Yeah.
Crimson Jack comes off to me as he's done some stuff that people give him this nickname. Like, man, he just took out all these guys or something like that. I have no idea, obviously, but that's what I think of when if I think of Crimson Jack. Well,
Yeah, I would agree. I wonder if it's like because his crewmates called him Silvo, but I
mhm.
wonder if Crimson Jack is just like the official name that like through um like the Republic has for him. Like, oh yeah, like codename Crimson Jack. That's what we know him by.
Yeah,
But
could be like a misunderstanding, which is like he is getting accused of something that
yeah,
he didn't really do, and so you're right. Maybe the Republic gave him that nickname, but that's not. Did the bird call him Crimson Jack?
yeah,
Like in the introduction, when the kids called him Crimson Jack,
yeah,
and then it was Silva with his crew.
yeah. The like Wolf Man was
It was
calling
Silva.
him.
What was it? Just Silva?
Well, I think Captain Silvo, but
Okay.
I don't know. Silvo is just what I remember.
Silva just makes me think of money, right? Like silver. So I
Yeah,
don't know if like Silva's supposed to mean something else. And then what was his other name?
Jode.
That's what he introduced to the kids.
Jod.
That's what he introduced to himself as the kids,
Yeah,
or to the kids. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
He's not going to
Anyways,
tell the kids I'm Crimson Jack. I'm Bloody Jack.
yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. Which I again leads back to the mystery. I like that there's three different names that he's going by, and again, so you obviously as an audience you don't trust him, right? Like you don't
Yeah,
say like, oh, he's good. Like let's do it. And I love the fact that like they're when they were trying to decide of like, okay, do we trust him? Do we not? Do we trust him? Do we not? That type of thing. And the justification that I already mentioned, where he goes, well, he floated stuff. You're like, it's just like this innocent thing as a kid is like, well, it's all you can do is like, it's the guy's either really cool or like they all have these different idols that they want to have, right? And like the kid
yeah,
wanted to be a Jedi, and so when he sees the closest thing to it, like he just that's a Jedi. Finn had this kind of authoritative mother figure who she just didn't really seem like she clicked with all that well, and it seems like she's having the same opinion. And I think each kid is putting on the persona of the person like they know best, you know. So the kid was like the Jedi wanting, you know, that something. Where Finn is just that authority figure type of thing. What's the tech person's name?
KB.
KB. KB seems like she's just more logical about it. Is just
Yeah,
like trying to
he's
figure
straight
it
to the
out.
facts. Like,
Right. And
what are
again,
the facts of the situation?
each person's doing this based on their personality of like who they are. And I really like the message the owl had for KB or Kim's her name, and she's just like, he told you to trust your gut, right? Just don't do that. Like
Yeah,
trust your mind type of thing. And this is how she came up with like the deal with him and stuff like that. So
yeah,
again, really interesting. I think it's a really good mystery, and we're going to find out more on another mystery
yeah.
though, which I want to ask you about the Great Work. Did you write any notes on that one of the Great Work?
Oh, you know, that's interesting. I'm not sure I seriously have no idea what that's going to turn out to be, but I feel like it's going to be significant. And that's one of those things that it kind of just like I heard it, but it kind of went in one ear and out the other. But hearing you mention it again, it's like, okay, yeah, like I think that's going to be pretty significant because they're
Are
like,
there
what
any
are your parents like? An analyst. Oh,
analysts?
analyst. What are they analyzing?
And it explains a little more what the dad's always gone too. It's not just he's got to provide for his family. It's more of
Yeah,
maybe it's like this government heavy, you know, thing he's doing. Very much like with Andor, or I mean Rogue One, where they're talking like they literally flew across galaxy trying to find this individual to build the Death Star as an engineer and
yeah.
that type of thing. So I'm
So
trying to think to myself. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the setting is. I don't know if we have any confirmation of it, but I think the setting is the Empire fell. Are we after the Return of the Jedi, but before the
yes,
Force Awakens?
yes. And what's interesting is on at Aden, they don't seem to know about anything that happens.
That's
Like they're
right.
like,
She
we
mentions
know Coruscant and Alderaan. They're
right.
like, oh, you haven't heard about Alderaan, the war?
Yeah.
They're like, what war? But what's interesting is when she said Alderaan, I was like, well, maybe they told the kids like how the planet blew up, but the like implication that Kim said was, oh, you don't know it like blew up, but it didn't really address that, and I don't know.
No, it was a good like I thought it was great. Where it's just like,
Yeah,
okay, like they're pretty ignorant to like the war, basically, where the Empire took over.
yeah,
Like they don't know any of that. So they know these planets exist, but it's not taught to them that, hey, by the
yeah,
way, outside of this planet, there's an entire war going on, and they're being I don't know if the entire planet's ignorant to it, but it seems like maybe they're just not
yeah.
telling the public of it or anything like that.
Well, what's
Um,
interesting is at the beginning of the episode, the parents are all talking in that room and they're like, oh, like, let's contact the Republic. And they're like, no, like, we're not allowed to contact the Republic.
yeah,
And so I'm very curious to see if, like, the kids were just kind of ignorant to it or if, like, the whole planet, like, the entire population is like, yeah, we have no idea what goes on. And it sounds like nobody does, maybe a select few people. And I
that'd
feel
be
like,
my theory. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
higher up government officials or something are the only ones who know, and they try to keep it hush hush throughout the
yeah,
planet. That type of thing. Um, like it was enough for the parent, and I get it because it's your kids. It was enough for the parents though if they knew if it was a big work of like a secret. They felt at least they had the authority enough to get like a I don't know, some bypass rule that they can go past the barrier. So they
yeah,
felt they were entitled enough to do something like that. So that makes me feel, okay, you don't know either. Like you're not on that level of knowing like what is the grand plan of your guys' planet. Which
yeah.
again, now we've got another mystery that is slowly unraveling as well. Like I like how much mystery is going on, and it's interesting mystery too. Like it's a little bit here and a little bit there, and like I'm intrigued, and I want to know from the next episode like how it is or what's going on, that type of thing. And so it makes me think, what is it about the great work where it could tie into maybe the sequel movies? So like, is there anything that's going on the planet that it has to do with the sequels? And my best guess is, what if is that planet really the planet, the Star Killer planet? Remember they turned a planet into
Oh,
a Death
yeah.
Star, and so that was one of the theories I have. But I'm sure there's better Star Wars fans than myself that could tell me no, that can't be because of these reasons. But
Well,
that was
one
like
thing
one
they
of the first
said,
theories I had. Okay, what if this planet was a necessary like style of a planet that can handle being like a Death Star versus like other planets type of thing?
yeah. One thing that Kim was saying, the owl, is that there were all these like hidden planets in the past, and
Mhm.
Aden's the only one that wasn't destroyed. So
Oh, that's
that,
right. They had a little map thing comes out,
yeah.
and she's explaining
And
the
so it
drawings.
seems like it's been around like forever. So I don't know if I would say it's Starkiller Base, but I don't know. But wasn't Starkiller Base, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen those movies in so long, but
Yeah,
wasn't it
me
like
either.
built on a planet? Like they hollowed out the planet to make it?
Well, yeah, that was my kind of thing. Is like, what if the
Yeah.
planet is that's what
Okay.
start? It's being built right now, and that's what
That would make more sense. Yeah. I
yeah.
haven't
It does.
seen those movies in so long, so
I got to
I don't
rewatch them too. I'm
remember.
sure like there'd be reasons of why we would know it's not that one. Like for example, if it's behind a nebula, I don't remember seeing any nebulas with the Starkiller
Yeah.
base,
They could
and
have
so
moved it though at that point.
maybe yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a
Time
planet
will tell.
that yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Again, I'm
Yeah.
intrigued. I like the idea of this Great Wall. I think it's interesting. Again, character development is fantastic. I think that like
Yeah.
discovering even more like how the kids react to things and what they want. Again, once again, I just love Wim and just his little smirk on his face when he pulls down the turret. Like
Yeah.
zero
Very true.
motivation needed. He jumps right in the turret and he's ready to go type thing. And just I'm intrigued with Jude Law's character. I'm intrigued with even Kim. We didn't even talk about Kim. I actually want to talk about her for a second. First
Yeah.
off, I thought amazing animation really was
Yeah.
like a
It was
really
really
good,
good.
because again they could have gone with what I think was Neil, like his look, where it was like you look like you're a puppet, you look like you're wearing a mask or something like that. I thought they like the way they did Kim was really good, and I was interested, and I was like, I believe her too. Like I believe her story, where I don't think she's a bad person or a bird, whatever
No.
her creature is.
I mean, she wanted to help the kids.
Yeah, I think like that was genuinely it, and she genuinely didn't really like she had some bad history with Jude Law, which Jude Law knew that too, that he had some bad history with her because he like kind of prepped the kids like she might, stab me in the back, type thing. And so he like prepped the kids before they got in. And it was the moment when she discovered it was at Aden. You can tell she kind of regretted a bit what she was doing, and she was more interested in wanting to do like discover at Aden because it was her passion of like with planets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just great writing. I love it. I love the writing. I love the character development of it. Kim was just a very interesting character to me.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up again was KB's headgear, because her mom was saying something about it at the beginning where it was like a life support tracker or something. Did you catch that?
I did not. Now I need to go back and watch it. So say that again.
I forget the exact phrase she said, but she said when they passed the outer barrier, like we lost contact with her life.
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. And so it seems like it's like she has some sort of health issue and it's like a life support thing, maybe.
Okay. So this is
just interesting. Yeah. It's
KB,
not just like a headgear she's
right.
wearing.
Just so she can just, like be cool or whatever, that type of thing. So
yeah.
I like that. Like, because again, if she's got, and I think I brought it up in our last review, like if she's got, why don't other people have it? Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that she was blind, is what I was saying, because it would make more sense why she was wearing it. But this is kind of the same thing that like there's a health reason why she has it, and so that makes more sense.
But it seems pretty neat. I mean, she used it to like all the X-wings over. She was using it like as a loudspeaker somehow.
Yeah.
But cool stuff. I like tech stuff like that.
Yeah,
just kind of fun.
No, like again, it was, and it's interesting. It's not overdone either, too. It's not like she just looks up at an X-wing and hits a button and then the X-wing, collapses, type of thing. It wasn't like overpowered or something like that. It's just a fun, interesting show, and I'm loving all the character developments, and I think it's like I'm excited for the next episodes.
Yeah, same. So tune in next week.
Yeah. I just want to end off on. I want to hear. Let's share off final theories, and we'll keep changing our theories as each episode. If you were to guess, how does season 8 end? What's your theory?
Oh, I feel like I don't have enough information yet. Well, I feel it's hard to say. It's hard to say if it's going to be a one series show or a multiple series show.
Right.
But assuming it's one series or one season, I think they will get back. I think Jude Law will make some sort of sacrifice, either with his life, or you think he lost his life and he didn't really, to save the kids, or he just has a change of heart and he just realizes like, I'm going to give something up because I care about the kids more than I care about what I thought I cared about. But I think the kids are going to get home, and as for the great work, I have no idea. Just zero theories.
Right. Well, because what they want you to think right now is there's gold.
Yeah.
And that the only thing they're doing is protecting the planet from other people, so like other planets don't invade, which could very well be it, right? It's just simply a defense mechanism that, the Empire or other, species or whatever doesn't attack their planet because they're just full of gold. That could be one theory.
Yeah.
I think the amount of protection and the amount of like secrecy going on the planet, though, makes me think something bigger. And I feel like it needs to tie into something. I actually hope it doesn't, by the way, but I believe it's going to tie into something. So my number one theory is it's the star planet Killer, and that's the planet, and it is being built for that. Like it's doing some type of work for the Empire, and like trying to get the Empire back into power. And I think that's what the planet actually is. There's no gold there specifically, but it's something to help the Empire. Or now, what's the sequels called? They're called the First Order is what it's called. So something to help the First Order, and that's what my number one theory is for the planet. Jude Law, I actually believe him at the steps with the ramp where he says, "I'm lost like you." I think that he's just from some planet that he got abandoned or left alone type of thing, and he's just looking for a home, and he's been on the run this whole time, so he doesn't have like a place to stay type of thing, and he's just constantly just trying to get by, but he has a good heart and he doesn't want to do some of the stuff that he's got himself wrapped into.
We'll see.
We'll see, man. Yeah, and we'll keep
Place our bets.
editing our theory each episode.
Yeah, that's a good way to end every episode, I think. What are our theories?
Our theory's going for it, man. Well, man, dude. So, what do you think, Cam?
Yeah, I'm excited. I, to be honest, like I am very glad you wanted to talk about this show because this is really helping me to feel more invested in it, and I'm really excited about it. So,
Oh yeah, it's just disappointing when I get like really hyped up for a show like Obi-Wan or Boba Fett,
yeah,
and it was like, man, this is dumb. Like, why? And so this was just finally right. Like they do a good
yeah.
job on a good show, and so I'm excited for it. We got to watch Andor next time though, and like
Okay.
we got to review Andor.
Don't
'cause
ask
season
me to
2's gonna come
review
out.
The Acolyte.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll catch you later.
Okay. Talk later.